Hi everyone, welcome back to the Keto Cancer Solution podcast. I'm your host, Heathar Shepard, and today you're listening to episode 20, How a Keto Diet Impacts Your Gut Health. Many people hear the benefits of a keto diet and dive in head first. However, there is much to consider before jumping on the keto bandwagon. While I eat and emphasize a keto-based template when it comes to diet and eating, I often do not recommend a strict keto diet as it can have some very detrimental effects on certain aspects of the body, particularly the gut. Most people today have very compromised gut function. Having a bowel movement 1 to 2 plus times per day doesn't mean your gut is healthy. Just keep this in mind. Gut health is extremely holistic. It includes the liver, pancreas, stomach, brain, salivary glands, gallbladder, enzyme activity. Digestion is incredibly holistic and involves many areas of our body. Today, I'm going to dive into limitations of a keto diet and what you can do to support your gut microbiome while maintaining a keto template to help meet the needs of your entire body. Before we jump into the episode here today, I have to give a disclaimer that the Keto Cancer Solution podcast is not intended as medical advice in the Western medical sense or terms. All information shared on the Keto Cancer Solution podcast is based on my background and extensive education in nutrition, classical Chinese medicine, shamanism, and ancient healing arts. This podcast is to be used for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. So, welcome to the episode today. Thanks so much for joining me again. I'm really excited to go into this topic about a keto diet and how it impacts your gut health because this is a very overlooked topic and area when it comes to the whole ketogenic diet. Now, many people are flocking to the ketogenic diet right now, and by the way, it's the most searched topic on Google at this time, so it's pretty popular. And many people are really getting caught up in the technicalities and the linear aspects of a keto diet. This many carbs, this much protein, this much fat, and that has created tunnel vision in many people that's all they're focusing in on when they're eating a ketogenic diet. They're focusing on a high-fat diet of 75% or more fat in the diet, around 15 to 20% protein in the diet, and a mere 2 or 5% carbohydrates in the diet. And that's their focus. That's what people are going to when it comes to the ketogenic diet. And while that approach may be helpful for some, particularly if someone is experiencing frequent seizures and has epilepsy, in the beginning stages, a strict ketogenic diet can be very helpful for these people. It can be very helpful for someone with advanced terminal cancer. These are some ways that a strict ketogenic diet can help people. However, many people are going on a ketogenic diet when they're approaching cancer from not a terminal point. Some people are even in remission and they're approaching a ketogenic diet as a preventative for cancer reoccurrence. Many people are approaching a ketogenic diet for weight loss. Many people are approaching a ketogenic diet to help rebuild their hormones. Many people are using it to increase energy levels. So there's a lot of diverse ways that people are going to a ketogenic diet for. And just to reiterate, for any of you new to this type of diet, to the keto diet, on a very basic level, as I just briefly mentioned, a keto diet is very high in fat, it's moderate to low in protein, and it's very low in carbohydrates. And this is very different than the Atkins diet that was popular years ago, as the Atkins diet is high in protein. It really emphasized protein, not fat. And the ketogenic diet places emphasis on fat. Many people confuse these terms. When you say the diet's high in fat, they automatically assume it's high in protein. But this is not the case. Ketogenic dietary standards are high in fat, moderate to low in protein, very low in carbohydrates. So people are diving headfirst into keto to help them heal everything from type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and MS, to chronic pain, autoimmune conditions, epilepsy, and even cancer. And while this diet has proven to be very helpful in supporting these conditions, there are some very big pieces we're missing when it comes to keto, particularly when it comes to gut health. So, some people with those conditions that I mentioned, terminal cancer, epilepsy, even obesity or type 2 diabetes, in these cases, and possibly some others, a strict ketogenic may be exceptionally helpful short term. So, a strict keto diet is not something that should be performed and abided to long term because it can have some detrimental effects on the body, and I'll get into that a little bit here during the episode. So, the problem is occurring here because people are getting on the keto diet, it's working, and then they're sticking with this strict keto diet because they're terrified to get off of it, thinking that their symptoms will come back, their cancer will come back, their epilepsy will come back, their diabetes will come back, and they'll put the weight back on. So once people get into the throes of this diet, they've been really strict, they're counting their macros, which is fats, carbs, and proteins. They're doing well, they're having success, and now they're terrified to get off of this diet because of the success they've had. And we really need to keep in mind that diet, our bodies, stages of healing that we experience and need, it's all a cycle. And sticking with one thing constantly is not something that I ever recommend because our bodies need different nutrients, different approaches at different parts of our lives depending on what we're experiencing emotionally, physically, spiritually, and it's really important that we become attuned to cycles. We want to stick with one thing and have that be the thing. And unfortunately, this just isn't true. It's just not accurate or helpful when it comes to healing or diet. We need more of a cyclical approach to healing and to our diet. So long-term strict keto is not something I recommend, and this is particularly true when it comes to maintaining and creating and rebuilding a healthy gut. And I like to invite people to think of their body as an ecosystem, a jungle even, that contains a vast array of diversity throughout. Each area needing a different pH, different nutrients, different enzymes, and some areas needing more fat-soluble vitamins and nutrients than others. Your hormones, your brain, your digestive organs, all of these areas need a lot more fat than some other aspects and parts of your body. So, when you're on a strict keto diet, you're feeding your body primarily 1 to 3 predominant nutrients. And what this means is that some parts of your ecosystem will live, but other parts will actually start to die. And one of these areas is your gut microbiome. All of the healthy bugs begin to die off on a strict long-term keto diet. A long-term keto diet wreaks all sorts of havoc on your gut. It depletes beneficial gut microbes, it compromises digestion, and leads to things such as constipation, IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, and even eczema, bloating, and migraine headaches. There are other things that it can also lead to long term, but those are some of the most common things. Now, why is this? Well, often a strict keto diet restricts fiber-rich plant-based foods, not Metamucil or flaxseed per se, but vegetables, which contain a whole different kind of fiber and nutrient profile than fiber supplements and flax seeds and hemp seeds and these sort of fiber-based foods. I just want to insert a little caution here that Many people on a keto diet, they begin to experience constipation and reach for things like Metamucil and fiber supplements and senna tea. And while these can be helpful short term, this is not a long-term solution to rectifying your digestion. What these things do over time is that they actually stretch the colon to undesirable lengths, and this really compromises the elasticity of your colon and intestines. And that elasticity is so important because it is very crucial to the digestive process and to one area in particular called peristalsis. And peristalsis, you may have even heard this, when your tummy rumbles. It's actually not your tummy rumbling, but it's your intestines rumbling, and it's propelling it little by little using these tiny motions. It's propelling it down your digestive tract to be eventually eliminated. So fiber supplements, Metamucil, psyllium husk, flaxseed, even things like hemp seeds, if you depend on these things for bowel movements, you're not really getting to the root of why you're constipated or having difficulty with your bowel function. Because constipation in large is a result of not enough beneficial microbes in your colon. Most of the beneficial microbes that help to break down your food, that help to create your immune system and vibrant beneficial bacteria colonies reside in the colon. So, on a strict keto diet, the fiber-rich plant-based foods are often restricted. They're only emphasized in small amounts. So, stuff like cauliflower, broccoli, greens, cabbage, zucchini, even things like asparagus, colorful bell peppers. These things are often restricted to a great degree on a strict ketogenic diet. Now, this is because they have a slightly elevated carbohydrate level than, say, fat. And fat has 0 carbohydrates in it. So if you take like ghee or butter or beef tallow or lamb tallow or bison tallow or duck fat or goose fat, these things have 0 carbohydrates in them. So when you're measuring the carbohydrate content of vegetables to fats, vegetables have more carbs naturally. This is what they naturally contain, and fat naturally contains none. So many people restrict veggies because they have slightly elevated carbohydrate content. Now, you can still eat vegetables that are lower in carbohydrates. I do not encourage people to eat, say, sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes spike blood sugar levels, and they actually contain some fructose in them, which is hard on the liver, it's hard on the blood sugar levels, it's hard on the pancreas. It's not a food that I recommend. So there's ways to get low-carb vegetables into your diet and to still keep out vegetables that spike insulin levels and can cause inflammation in the body. We just need to become less rigid when it comes to the keto diet. Now, why are these fiber-rich plant-based foods so important to have in the diet? Well, plant fiber restriction is problematic for your gut microbiome, as the beneficial bacteria in your gut, in your colon, they eat fiber. This is their fuel source. And if we remove or significantly deplete their fuel source, they end up dying. And this is why many people on a long-term keto diet, some people even in the beginning stages, experience constipation or even IBS symptoms, because they're killing off their beneficial microbes by limiting their plant fiber consumption. So when you're approaching diet, a keto-based diet can be super supportive to your health. It's one that I encourage. But it has to be followed in a correct way that doesn't involve counting macros all the time, unless you have one of those conditions I previously mentioned, the terminal cancer, beginning stages of epilepsy, beginning stages of treating type 2 diabetes or obesity. These things may be appropriate in some cases to have a more strict keto diet. However, a strict keto diet isn't something I recommend long term. Instead, I recommend a diet that is based on ketogenic dietary principles but that also includes a diversity of foods and a diversity of foods that will help to heal and reestablish and maintain healthy gut bacteria levels. Really, if you go on a ketogenic diet with a compromised gut, it's like going into battle without any arsenal. You're just going to deplete your gut microbiome even more, and this will lead to a host of long-term health conditions. So, if you want to reap the benefits of a fat-burning keto diet, you need to incorporate dynamic foods, gut rebuilding practices, and detox tools into your diet and life to help support, reclaim, and reestablish the health and well-being of your entire ecosystem. So, thanks so much everyone for joining me today. I hope you found this episode helpful along your ketogenic dietary explorations. For those of you interested in really fine-tuning your diet and getting the very most you can out of your diet, I invite you to reach out to me so we can have a conversation of what this may look like for you. Everyone is different. And yes, you can go on the internet and search for specific diets and practices, but when you're doing this, I invite you to keep in mind, is that really what your body needs? The more fine-tuned you can get with your diet and the more individualized you can get, the better outcome you're going to have and the better long-term health you're also going to have and experience. So if you're interested in doing some one-on-one work around your diet, around healing your gut, around healing chronic conditions like cancer or type 2 diabetes, you can contact me at ancestraldigestion@gmail.com or at ketocancersolution@gmail.com. For those of you who are into the social scene, you can join my private Facebook group, the Keto Cancer Solution Facebook group, or the Ancestral Digestion Community private Facebook group. Both of these groups talk a lot about healing the gut, healing your digestion, so that you can be really informed when it comes to your health and well-being. Also, for those of you interested in a hands-on workshop, I'm going to be teaching an online workshop this July 7th and 8th called Reclaiming Your Gut Microbiome. And during the workshop, I'm going to teach you all about your gut microbiome, how to heal it, how to reestablish it with specific foods, how to read your stool so you can know what's going on with your gut and your microbiome. And that's all going to happen on day 1. On day 2 is going to be a hands-on workshop where I will teach you all how to make very specific healing foods for your gut so you can learn how to incorporate some really potent and effective gut rebuilding strategies into your life and diet. For anyone interested, there's a few spots left for that workshop, and you can visit ancestraldigestion.com/classes to register and learn more about the class. Thanks again for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.